Alright, hey guys, this is Leroy Diesel. Just wanted to show you a video of an HD hood that I've grafted onto my 96 hood. This is for Chevrolet trucks. This is a 2010 Chevy HD hood on my 96, and it's going to be more of a video that just shows you what I did. It's not going to be an explanation of like an in-depth how-to video. That would have taken many hours to complete a video like that. So it's just kind of showing you really short clips of what I've done and the process I went through. So let me pick up the tripod here. I'll take you up and show you the hood, and we'll see what's going on here. If I can get the tripod out of there. Okay, so this is what I've done. I'll take you first. Let me just kind of take you around real quick, and before I start talking too much. So again, that's a 2010 HD hood, and it's on my 96. It's a crew cab long bed, as you can see here. So getting back to the hood, you'll see all this in the next coming videos. Just stay tuned, and I've got about at least 20 videos that are seamed together here. But I've got the HD hood, and just barely along that corner is a welded, underneath that is my 96 hood. Done something a little bit different here. I put Cowl Induction. I've got an old 72 Chevy, and I got the idea from that. What normally would go there would be the Duramax or a Vortex logo. Obviously this is neither one of those, but I did make the scoop all under here. Ant crawling on it. But the whole scoop all the way over to the other side of the hood is now functional. So I've called it a Cowl Induction hood, kind of like my old Chevelles. Got the molding up front, which I did have to trim that because it's different now. You'll see that in the videos, but trim that, blacked it out. It comes to me as a chrome molding, but I've blacked that out. It kind of fits the look of the truck now. Kind of step back here, you can kind of get the side profile. Hopefully it's coming out. My next project, not that it matters right now, but I'm doing away with these wheels and going with some 2018 wheels, which we're having adapters machined as I speak. So that's it. I think it turned out really nicely. It gives a totally different look, very subtle in my opinion. It's not something that people are just going to jump out and say, hey, you got another hood. But stay tuned, you'll see the next videos coming up right now. Alright, hey, this is Leroy Diesel. Gonna show you a project I'm trying to do here. I've got a 96 hood, or I should say 88 to 2002 body style hood for a Chevy truck, and I'm going to graft on a 2010 HD hood. So anyway, what I've done here is I drilled a hole with a hole saw right there so I could get the metal shear tool in there, and I've got it marked off all the way around the perimeter with some electrical tape. Kind of show you what's going on there. The hole lets me get the tool in here. So I won't show you all of that, be bored to death watching that, but you see how easy that went. Right at the very beginning I was on some structure underneath the hood, so it took me a second to kind of get through that little piece. that's about it. I'm going to go all the way around the hood, and we'll see you on the next one. Alright, so just got done zipping around the perimeter of the hood. What I had to do is drill 4 holes, actually 6. So there's one, and then 2 over there, 3, 1 in each corner. Then I drilled 1 here, and on the same side, or same deal on the other side. That was to get through this little valley here, so I could come in from both directions, because that tool, that shear, won't go through that valley. Another interesting thing is I got this hood at a junkyard, and I guess he had a skull or something on there. You can kind of still see through the tape there. That's about it. I've kind of got it cut a little smaller than I wanted to, because I can always make the opening a little bigger. So you can see I got it cut way back here. My plan is, if I can, I'm going to cut it, farther back up in here somewhere. But we'll see once I get this off. I tried peeling this off right here. I thought this skin would just pop off, but apparently it's foamed in underneath to prevent the hood from rattling, that kind of thing. I'm getting ready to flip this hood and deal with that. I haven't flipped it yet, but I'm thinking an oscillating saw will probably do the trick on that. So we'll see on the next one. Okay, so just like I suspected, it's basically glue or maybe foam in between the structure of the underside of the hood and the skin. So I've taken just basically a cement trowel, is what I'm using, and I'm breaking loose the joint all the way around the hood so I can get that skin off of there. I'll kind of show you that. So that's it. You just kind of feel for it where the glue is, and just jam that cement trowel or putty knife, whatever other tool you may have laying around, and break that joint. I'm going to work my way all around the hood, and then that skin will fall right off. See you on the next one. Okay, so I worked my way all around the whole skeleton with that cement trowel. And that thing worked perfect, because you can really reach a long ways. That thing's probably got a 10 or 12 inch reach on it to the point. I think I've got it all busted loose. I'm going to actually try and lift this thing off of here. I'm hoping the skin stays on the table. Let's see what happens. Okay, so perfect. Just what I thought was going to happen. You can see all the little glue joints here, 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 here. There's about 50 of them all the way around, and that actually glues. Well, I don't know if you see it on the video here. You can see the glue joints on the structure. So let me lay this hood back up on here, and we'll get some video on that. Okay, so there is the hood. Just you can see all the glue joints. You probably figured that out by now. So now what I'm going to do is start seeing how far back I can trim this. I've got a flanging tool. I want to create a flange around the perimeter, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the next hood, on the HD hood, and I'm going to cut it so that the flange everything will meet up. And I'm going to use some structural panel bonding adhesive to glue all that together. I'll have about 50 clamps on this thing holding everything when it's ready to go. That way you don't have so much body work. You don't have the rust issues that you would with a weld that you can't get to the back side, for example. It's still just going to rust away if you can't get some paint on it. And how are you going to get paint? If I'm welding here, it'd be impossible to get paint on that. So using panel bond adhesive, it basically has built-in rust proofing on it, because the whole seam is full of epoxy, basically, whatever that panel bonding stuff is. We'll see you on the next clip. Okay, so the next step is I'm getting ready. I'm trying to prep it for this flanging tool. This is a little air flange tool. It's also a hole punch. I'm sure most people have probably seen these. But before you can use this tool, let's set this down. Before you can use that tool, you need to grind all the paint off wherever you're going to be using it. So I got a little electric sander there. I'm going to buzz all the paint off the perimeter of this thing, and then take it from there, kind of playing it by ear, seeing what the panel's telling me to do. We'll see you on the next one. Alright, so the next step was I've got it, the center cut out, and there it is laying over there on the ground. And then I ground off all the paint all the way to the edge, except I got to do some little detail work. I couldn't get my sander in here, and I think that's probably all going away anyway. I have a feeling that the hood's going to get cut back to here somewhere, but that's what it looks like after you sand off all the paint. I'm actually going to clean up this side of the core support, not the, well, I guess you could call it core support, but this side of the hood support, the underside, and I'm going to coat that with, of all things, Flex Seal. I've been using that stuff around the shop and around the house, and that stuff's pretty damn good stuff. You guys should give it a try. I think it'd be a perfect application for under this hood. Keep that sound down from it, you know, vibrating and rattling, possibly creating a droning type sound, and also it'll help insulate here between the hood and the panel. That's probably not even going to touch anyway when I get the new skin on here anyway. It's probably a totally different layout, so I may actually have to use expanding foam, you know, whatever. But anyway, again, I'm going to let the panel tell me what it wants, and we'll see you on the next one. Alright, so we're on to the next hood. This is the HD hood, obviously upside down, and this paint I need to keep as nice as I can. It did have a few scratches in it when I got it, but what I've done here is I got my wife's favorite blanket, got that under there for some padding, then just to protect that from getting dust and all kinds of crap on it, covered it with a tarp, and then got some cardboard on top of that. The plan now is I'm going to cut as close as I can to the skin of the hood, but on the under structure I'm going to cut it like right around here somewhere, all the way around. I'm going to see if I can't get lucky and where they fold over this hood onto the inner structure at the factory, seeing if I can cut it real close. Maybe I can start working that out of there and see what that gets me. I don't even know if that will help me in the end, but I'm trying to keep as much of the original hood as possible, and then I'll use that panel bond, like I was saying earlier, that adhesive to glue this to that. Anyway, see you on the next one. Okay, so what you're going to find is you're going to have to use a combination of tools. I was using the cutoff wheel, and I started right here, and then I was having a problem with it, and it was taking forever. And I just literally bought this metal shear at Harbor Freight today, and so I said, well, I'm not used to that tool, so I didn't pull it out, but I thought about it while I was sitting there working my ass off trying to get that. Whipped this out, and in about the same amount of time as it took me to grind about 6 inches, I took this tool, which I'll show you in a second, little metal shear, And I went all the way around this hood, made a big old spiral piece of waste, but you can see all the way around. And I had to stop right here because I noticed this spot weld, and I didn't want to damage the tool, because if that's too thick, then it might damage the tool. So I'm going to back up to about here and take another run at it, try to get around that spot weld. Oh, well, yeah, as a matter of fact, you can see right here there's like a double structure, so I'm sure that comes all the way up under here, and I don't want to, like I say, damage the tool trying to get too thick of a material. So I'm going to try to come through here and keep coming around, and right there where I started last time. But what I'm going to actually do is take it in pieces. I'm going to start in this, and this is what I'm going to show you. Just a very short run. I'm going to go from here. Hopefully I can get through that. I might try to come like this, and I'll come over here just, I don't know, about 6 or 8 inches. I'll just kind of show you how the tool works. Let me get this set up again. I think that should work. Okay, so I tried to go through that. You probably saw me with the very first. I tried to go through this little valley, and it doesn't like to do that. It'll go down, but it doesn't want to come back up. If I forced it, I might have been able to get it, but then I just re-stabbed it and took this path. And then I noticed I felt it get into that thicker material, so I'm going to finish that out with the cutoff wheel, and then I'll be all the way around this hood. Literally took me, you know, if I didn't stop for the video and all of that, it literally took me 4 or 5 minutes to zip out this hood. Then I'm going to go to the same trick as I showed you on the earlier video. You getting that cement trowel, and I've got to separate it. I can see all the glue and foam, whatever that stuff is. It's some kind of urethane, but I'm going to have to separate that out so that these two pieces will come apart, and we'll see that on the next video. Okay, so I've been working with the cement trowel, and you got to be careful. You can't pry against the hood. You got to make sure you stay nice and level when you're trying to dislodge all that glue from the underside of the hood all the way around. Probably took me 20 minutes. And what I did originally in the last video is I ran across here thinking that the whole thing was going to come off, but it looks like this inner structure was it was more substantial than I thought. So now what I've done is I just cut around it, and I literally haven't even taken it off. I'm just doing this for the first time. You guys will see it. I'm going to peel this off, and then I'll be able to see what's under here, start dissecting that. Just show you that coming off of there. Should come off. So there was some mud dauber nests in there too, and I destroyed those with that trowel. And that's what the underside of a hood looks like on an HD hood. There's the underneath structure. Collapse that tripod and get around here, work a little better. So it looks like it's probably, hopefully, just more urethane that I've got to get the cement trowel out for again and separate that. Hopefully that'll just come right off of there, but I didn't want to force things and start bending the actual sheet metal of the hood. So that's it. I'll show you what's going on when I get that off of there. Alrighty, so the last clip I was showing you about this, and sure enough, it was basically urethane glued, whatever this stuff is. It's some kind of rubberized stuff that's, I mean, it is pretty tough stuff, a lot tougher than the 96 had on it. It might have just been because of age. But anyway, I worked all the way under the structure that was here, and basically I got to a point where I could take it off. So it's just glued on there, this whole structure, which is actually fairly substantial. You see what's going on there, but it's just glued. You can see, and again, the mud daubers were in here, but you can see the glue that went all the way around, and it was in there pretty tough. I'll tell you, the biggest tools that helped me with this job were this damn cement trowel. I'm kind of showing it here so you can see the shape. It's got a point on the end, and that was a lifesaver. And then also this cheapy Harbor Freight metal shear tool. I think it was, well, it was less than 50 bucks. And that thing, I mean, it just zipped this panel right off of here. That thing can do some damage. If it wasn't for the urethane, I would have had this whole thing off of here in, 10 minutes. But that urethane, it probably took me, I don't know, an hour to break all that stuff loose. Anyway, that's it. Now I can turn the hood over and start trimming, trying to get down, and now the hard part. What you've seen up to this point has been the easy part. Now kind of comes the hard part. We'll see you. Well, Mother Nature won't cooperate. I literally got set up, had the other hood on those sawhorses over there, and look what had to open up. Started raining, and hopefully this goes away soon. Okay, so what I've decided to do is I'm going to grind off the very edge of the hood, and that'll, as I grind, the inner lip is going to come up, and I'll show you what's going on there. I'm going to do that all the way around the hood, and then hopefully the skin is going to totally release from that inner support structure. So we'll show you what's going on there. You can see I started here and it's starting to come up. Alright, so that was just a little piece, and you can see how that rolls up as you go. I'm going to continue all the way around the hood, and you probably get the idea from there. Alright, so the last video I showed you, I was grinding right about here and taking the inner structure off. This is what you have when you are done. Basically, you're just unzipping all the way around. I've never done this before, so I kind of keep qualifying this, but I'm kind of letting the panel tell me what it wants me to do to it next. And so now what I've got to do is get a putty knife or something down in between here. This is still the actual inner structure of the hood. So I'm trying to peel that away, and then I'm going to lay that on top of the GMT-400 hood, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so what I found here is I got to thinking about it after I got that stuff what I called unzipped in the last video. I was thinking, well, this stuff is just glued on because they put another bead of some kind of adhesive in there, and then they crimp that hood over the inner structure. And so I got my heat gun out, and it's working pretty good so far. But what that's doing is heating that adhesive and breaking that joint. And I've got two screwdrivers that I'm working, one to kind of separate, and then the one behind, the trailing one, keeps the adhesive from rejoining because it's hot, and I'm not sure if it would or not anyway, but it might be hot and tacky, so I don't want it to, you know, set back down on itself and kind of re-glue itself. I'll show you what's going on. It takes a second to get it hot, but I'm using this one to come forward and this one to keep the panel off the glue. So again, you get the idea. I'm not going to bore you. As always, I try to keep these videos as short as I can, just to get the point across. See you on the next one. Okay, so that method of using the two screwdrivers and the heat gun worked out really well. Just getting a video of me popping that off of there just for the hell of it. So that's the rest of the skeleton or the structure that was underneath the hood. Add that to the scrap pile. I'm putting all this scrap from the two hoods in my scrap pile. I might as well get paid scrap metal for it. And it's only going to be pennies, but pennies is better than a poke in the eye with a sharp stick. We'll see you on the next one. I'm going to try to fit this hood on the other hood now and kind of start getting an idea where I'm going to have to start cutting and trimming on that. See you on the next one. Okay, so here's the very first trial fit. I've got the HD hood on top of a 96 hood. You can see the little bit of the difference there. So I'm gonna have to cut it like from here on the inside of the 96 hood away, and this is also going to drop down some, so it'll be kind of a cut like this, something like that, and then that'll let the hood drop down, and actually it might bring this cut down lower, but I'll cut it up high because I can always cut more, and then I'll trim it down as I need to. But once I get this lip fitting about where this is, then I know I'm in the right spot, and I'll just keep cutting away. Actually right here wasn't too bad, although yeah, I'd still have to cut it down though. But you kind of get the idea of what's going on here. I'm just gonna have to keep cutting on the 96 hood now until I can get this new hood to set down right in place. The new hood I thought would be a lot closer fit than this, but it's got maybe ½ an inch overhang here, and you come around over here and it's got about ½ inch overhang over here too. The whole hood looks like it needs to come back a little too, which is going to throw that front off that I just showed. Just going to be off a little bit, but same deal is going to happen. Looks like I'm going to have to trim the back of the hood to match the 96. It comes back a little further, and get all that trimmed. And anyway, this was the very first time I threw that hood up there, kind of trying to get an idea of what I need to do. So I'll take a look at that and go from there. Okay, so I made the first cuts. I'm actually cutting on the red hood, the new hood, instead of the base 96 for right now. I may need to trim some of that too, but you can sort of see a Sharpie mark I made here. I used the electric shear and trimmed through there. And then the same thing on this side. What I'm trying to do is get the hood to sit flush on top of the bottom hood, and it's getting there. Just by these two cuts, it really dropped this down. So I'm trying to keep this dimension because that's where the grill is. So this part of the hood needs to stay, you know, in that dimension. And then what that's going to mean is I'm going to have to probably weld a little bit here. I'm thinking I'm probably going to leave this open. Oop, sorry, I don't know if that was in the viewfinder. Just blabbing and not looking through the camera. So I'm going to have to weld through here, and then shape this up, weld that all the way across here. But I think I'm going to leave this open so that there's a grill trim piece that goes on here. I don't think it's functional from the factory, but this would actually make it functional, but this would still just be a look. And I guess I could cut some slits in here, whatever, and make that thing functional. I need to get the grill out and that trim piece and look at it and see what it would take to make it functional. Same thing over here. This red hood is probably a total of 7/8 of an inch to 1 inch wider than a 96 hood, so it's going to have to be trimmed the whole length of the hood that way. And then on this side too, you can see it's a little wider. It's about a 1/2 inch on each side roughly, so roughly about an inch total. Trim that up. And my plan was I was going to go with the panel bond adhesive, but that kind of went out the window because this is so narrow on the HD hood that there's just nothing left there to really glue onto. So I'm trimming this hood and the bottom hood exactly so that I'll have a nice strong base to weld to on that corner. Anytime you can weld on a corner of, you know, something like that, you've got 3 layers of metal there, and so that'll be a really strong joint, really good place to weld. So that was kind of the next step. I'll show you the next one when I get to it. Okay, so I got it tacked on there just in 4 spots, 1 on each corner. And this one I had the damn heat set up. I forgot to look at my welder before I started, so blew a hole right through it real quick. Fixed that though, and actually I got 5 tacks. I got 1 on the nose and then 1 on each corner. Now the plan is to get this on the hood, on the truck, and see if the lines match up, see how the front grill is going to line up. I'm also going to have to fabricate some panels to go in between here, the hood, and between the 2 hoods. So that's the next step. Getting a little bit further along than I thought I would. Alright, so it's been a couple days since I was able to get back on this. This is HD hood going on the 96, and I'm just going to basically weld it all along the corner, along the edge, and I had to cut about this much out of the hood, out of the corner here, so that the whole hood would sit back far enough and all the body lines and everything would line up. So I've got the chrome molding coming in, it's on order, and then the plastic vents in the back there coming in too. I thought I had the right ones, but they were for the later year. Here I cut out a little too much. At the time I was trying to cut as much as possible, but knowing what I know now, I would have left more meat on the under hood. But anyway, that's no big deal. Just fill that in with a little panel, and I'm getting ready to weld all this up all along the sides here. And I've trial fitted it a couple times on the truck, and this is where I want it. And so also in the process of doing that, I just tack welded it a couple times, like 4 times, 1 in each corner, and then I'd go trial fit it on the hood, see where I wanted it. Figured out I had to cut a little more because the nose was sticking out a little too far, that kind of stuff. Anyway, it's a little bit of a trial fit and finish type thing, and So this is where I'm at, and we're going to get it welded up and get the body work going on it. What's nice about doing it this way, speaking of body work, is I'm only going to have this area on each side of the hood over there to do any body work on, and we'll see you on the next one. Alright, so the next step was I got this thing welded in all the way down the hood, and I've got it warped pretty good in a bunch of places. Every time I put a clamp down and welded a spot, it's just kind of the nature of the beast. But this is all going to come back in with some body filler, just a light skim coat of filler, shape all that up, and you know, do the normal body work and get it prepped for paint. Same thing on this side. This side was going to be a little less body work because the edge of the upper hood came all the way out to the edge of the underhood. So there's just a weld bead all the way down the edge of that hood. And then I had to make a little filler panel right here, weld that in, and that's about it. Got all the paint ground back to much farther back. Then I'm going to be putting the filler. I'm kind of hoping is just going to be through here. It'll be easier to cosmetically hide a line in when you feather all that out than it would be to try to stop that up, you know, in the middle of the panel there. It's just a lot more work. That's about it. We'll see you guys on the next one. Alright, so now I've got the body filler applied. Both sides. This is the part I hate, sanding. Alright, so this is where I'm at now. Got the second coat of body filler on here. There's still some really slight imperfections, a little bit of low spots. Got to sand this out still. Just did the first sanding on this side. There's a pretty big low spot there. Anyway, I'll fill all that in, get the second sanding on this side. Hopefully after the second one I'll be ready to start priming it and then blocking the primer out. So that's where I'm at now. Alright, so I got it at this stage. It's ready for primer. I'm just going to brush it on and then block all that out. It's a build primer, so I'm just going to put it on there heavy and use a brush. What I've done all along where the paint edges were, so I've feathered that back, so I'm going to bring the primer, you know, probably up into about half of that, and then that'll get re-feathered into the hood. And same over here, you can see where this hood apparently was painted before, but I feathered back the layers. And same thing over here. I'm going to put some self-etching primer on the bare metal. Any place there's bare metal, and then hit it with the primer. And I got this side feathered out too, just like the other side. You can sort of see the stripes there. That's the different layers. I'm going to mask off the areas that I don't want to get primer on. And that's about it. See you on the... Okay, kind of at a milestone here. This is the first coat of primer, and I just brushed it on. Let's see if you can... Should be able to see the brush strokes in there. I mean, it is super heavy. I put 2 coats on and just really slapped it on there heavy. I could have went more, but I've actually done this in the past and got carried away. One time I thought I could just pour all kinds of primer, so I built it up like, I mean, thick. And I came back the next day and it was all just wrinkled. It had a total reaction because the solvents couldn't escape fast enough, and it was just a big mess. So when you're putting primer down, take your time. Don't put too much on. But this is about as thick as of a method as I know how to do it in a short period of time. And to spray this, I mean, I could have definitely sprayed it, but it would have just been a lot more involved getting things masked off and overspray and all of that just to brush this on there. I'm going to be blocking it out anyway. It's the way to go. See you on the next one. Alright, so this is after the very first blocking of the very first coat of primer. Came out pretty decently. Got a few spots that I'm going to prime it another time. This side came out a little better. The hardest part's getting this body line right down, all the way down. That one, that's the hardest part about blocking this out. So get ready to brush another coat on there. Not nearly as heavy this time. And then I'll block that one out tomorrow. Alright, so here I've got the propane blower blowing on the hood. It's a little bit cool here today. I'm trying to kick this paint off so it'll dry. But what I've done is I'm trying an experiment here. I got some, it's actually a Krylon paint. It comes in a quart. And it's a gloss black. I don't know if you can, hopefully you can hear me over that torch or burner. But the paint is a gloss black, but it comes out of the can blue. So I've never seen this before, but I just said, well, hell, I'm just going to paint it anyway. And I was pleasantly surprised that it actually dried gloss black. So it's kind of interesting because what that does is when you go in for your next coat, it goes on blue in contrast with the black, so you can see where you maybe didn't cover on the next coat. So that's kind of cool. And then again, once it's dried, it dries black. And I've been getting all the nooks and crannies. Kind of, well, in here, I don't know if that shows up, but you can still see it's kind of blue. But then as it dries, it's going to dry into the black. And I've been painting between the hoods and all down between the cracks where the welds were. I just literally flooded it in there and tilted the hood back and forth and let it run back and forth. Did that on both sides, up in the front. And so that was the next step. And then after this, what I'm planning on doing is I'm going to shim up the hood to where I want it between the substructure and the actual panel. And then I'm going to put in some expanding foam between the understructure and the outer panel to support the hood exactly where I want it, so that it's not just flopping around, and it'll give me a good surface where I can actually do the body work on it, get it de-waved and straightened and ready for paint. I may not be able to get to this till next weekend, but you see the next step as I go, and we're getting closer and closer to paint. Have a good day. Alright, so here we've got the expanding foam. Trying to get some light on this. Should be able to see that. Anyway, I got the whole structure, the substructure, used expanding foam to be able to give support to the outer skin. So that's what that is. What's cool about this hood too is I'm going to be able to make the whole thing functional, kind of like a Cowl Induction hood. I'll give you more on that later. I'm thinking about doing something with the emblem where the Duramax or Vortex emblems go on the side of the scoop on the other side. I'll give you more on that later. Alright, real quick, this is just showing the hood. I've got half of it prepped, pretty much ready for paint, and then this side I've still got to sand it, block it out, get all this primer blocked out. This side, I don't know how well you can see that, but it's pretty well done. Alright, so here she is finished up. Just got the very last coat of clear on it, and everything was looking perfect until that very last coat of clear. I don't know what the hell happened. Some kind of contamination got in the gun, but it left a bunch of like fish eyes, little dots. You may not be able to see that in this video, but that kind of pissed me off. This hood was absolutely perfect, and then I went for one more coat and it did that. But overall though, I mean, I'll be able to wet sand that out and hopefully buff it, and hopefully that'll come out. I may need to clear it one more time after that. But overall the body work came out nice. Next thing is going to be to wait for it to dry and then put her on the truck and see how it looks all said and done. I still haven't got my vents though. I'm waiting for those to come in, and I've got the chrome molding for the front. I'm gonna have to put that on after it dries, and that's about it. We'll see you after the hood is installed on the truck. Okay, so I got it painted yesterday and was planning on working on it today, but freaking rainstorms. So this is the hood. I love new paint. When water hits it, it just beads up like crazy. Kind of a cool look. Anyway, I'll catch you on the next one when hopefully it'll be installed. My plan is to wet sand this and re-clear it one more time, and then it'll get installed. Okay, so last night right before it got dark, I was actually out here in the dark trying to wet sand this hood, and I just wanted to get the highlights or the bulk of it done last night. The darker chalky areas is where I've wet sanded, and then the shiny areas is where I'm getting ready to do right now. But I'm using a real flat block when I do this, and what that's going to do is I'm going to put 2 coats of clear on here when I'm done with that, and that's just absolutely going to make this thing flat, and then it'll be optional whether I go back in again and then wet sand that and buff it back out. I've done that before on show cars, and you just absolutely get an awesome flat finish doing that. But so that's it. I've got all around, basically all around the edges of the hood is what I've got left to do, and I'll show you when it's done and got the 2 coats of clear on it. Okay, so this is the first coat of clear. As you can see, I'm just doing this out in my damn driveway, so trying to protect it as best as I can. Throw up some tarps and a temporary one of these canopy things, but got to make do with what I got at the moment. But you can see it's coming out pretty damn nice though. I'm going to put at least one more coat on there. And should turn out pretty nice, I hope. Okay, so I just put the last coat of clear on, threw up this last bit of tarp on there to help keep any dust out. Today is an extremely calm day. I'm just really lucky in that regard. When I painted it that first time, it was just all kinds of crap in the air. Today there's just nothing. It's awesome. But anyway, I'm taking some extra precautions also today by putting up this little temporary thing, and I got tarps on all 4 sides. And here's the biggest opening, but kind of, well, that's terrible lighting in there that direction. Let me see if it does anything better this way. Anyway, there she is. I'll get a better picture or video of it once it's dry and I can touch it. Alright, so here she is mounted up, and on the truck I've got this chrome molding here just taped there. I kind of wanted to get an idea what it looked like in chrome. I'm gonna have to I think I'm gonna black that out too. I don't quite like the way that looks, but here's what the hood looks like. I'll get a better video of it on the next one.